Business IGCSE, chapter 24 today, departmental functions. Before we go into departmental functions, what's a department? A department comprises different units that works together to bring help out that works together to ensure that the organization is running. That's what department is. Different units that the organization comprises.
Different units that
the organization comprises.
The
organization or the business comprises.
Comprises.
It's just like when you have this is a old room, and everybody has to just come to this room and stand. They will be lost. They won't know what to do. But as soon as you come to this room, you understand. You know where you are going to. So there's no point getting stuck. There's no point staying. You just go straight to your position. Yeah. So a department is just like where an employee, the position of employees, where employees are going to carry out their function for that organization. Okay. So that's what a department is. So let's read further anyway. Traditionally, business may be divided into 4 departments: human resources, finance, marketing, and production. So, like I told you, department is just like units.
Different units
that employees work within an organization. So, here they said department section is okay. So the first one we're going to talk about is the human resources department. So we know we have departments, the unit, the section that an employee is going to work. Yes. So as soon as you are being employed, you will be posted to a department. That is where you start working. That is what a department is. So you can literally say a department is a section, or it comprises different sections that the organization, that helps the organization to carry out its objectives.
Yes.
Different sections that come together to help the organization to carry out its objective. That is what a department is. So the first department we're going to talk about is human resources department. When we talk about human resources department, the human resources department is responsible for welfare of employees. So what happens with the employees? Whatever that happens to the employee comes through the human resources department. So they take care of the employees. So what are other things that the human resources department does? Another one, workforce planning. This involves calculating the number of and types of staff that will be required by the business. In a small business, this would not take up too much time. However, when the business employs thousands of people, workforce planning is an important job. If a business is short of particular types of staff, it may not be able to meet customer orders. So the first responsibility of the human resources department is workforce planning. And when we talk about workforce planning, we're talking about the quantity and the quality of workers needed by the organization. So it is the responsibility of the human resources department to state the numbers of workers needed, to state the numbers of workers that need to be recruited for the organization. That is what workforce planning is, and the function they're going to carry out. 2, recruitment and selection. As soon as they make an opening, as soon as there's a vacant position, it is the responsibility of the human resources department to hire and select the best employee for that particular opening or for that particular vacant position. So what are they supposed to do? They talked about the numbers of workers they needed. They place advertisements. They accept application forms. Then they go on to screen and select the best amongst the rest. Is it clear?
Yes.
Another function of the human resources department is health and safety. Businesses have to comply with health and safety legislation laws, which is designed to protect employees from dangers in the workforce. The HR department will have to ensure that staff are fully trained in health and safety and issue all employees with the required safety equipment and protective clothing. So the human resources department also takes care, because it's about the welfare.
Yeah.
So they take care of the health and the safety of employees. They ensure that employees are well equipped. For whatever function they need to carry out, and they want to make sure that employees' lives are not in danger in the course of carrying out their function. Staff welfare. The HR department is responsible for meeting the welfare needs of employees. They may have to monitor the working environment to ensure that it is as comfortable as possible. Employees are also entitled to toilets, washing facilities, fresh drinking water, and somewhere clean. hygienic and comfortable to take a break. There should also be a means of eating food or water or for hot drinks. So, staff welfare talks about the workplace, how conducive it should be. It should be a very conducive environment. So it is the responsibility of the Human Resources Department to ensure that the workplace is conducive for the workforce, for the members of staff. So the next one is industrial relations. So the HR department will have to maintain good communications with trade unions. They may also have to organize and be involved in negotiation between employers and employees. So when we talk about industrial relations, we're talking about what happens within the industry. So in the industry, when we talk about the industry, we're talking about dealings between the administration and the trade union. So the trade union, you know the trade union already. They are a group of people that comes together to protect the interest of workers. So every now and then they have to negotiate with employers.
Yeah.
So it is the duty of the Human Resources Department to always make itself available for the trade union whenever there's going to be negotiation. That is the point there. Industrial relations, I think it's clear.
Yes.
Disciplinary and grievance procedures. Procedures. Sometimes workers may have to be disciplined owing to poor conduct, or they may have a problem with a work issue. The HR department will have to provide information to employees on procedures in such matters and deal with the whole process. So disciplinary and grievance procedures. Employees might make mistakes. Employees might act not in accordance with the policy of the company. It is the responsibility of the human resources to call employees on to order. Do you get it? So it is the duty of the Human Resources Department to call employees to order when there is mistake, or when there is misappropriation of accounts, or there's malpractices within the organization. Dismissal. The HR department is responsible for giving formal warnings to workers and dealing with any legal requirements when laying off staff. Workers may be forced to leave a job through dismissal or redundancy. Sometimes an employee may have grounds to claim unfair dismissal. For example, if a worker is dismissed for joining a trade union or because they are considered too old, this is discrimination. They may take their employer to an employment tribunal where the case will be heard, and HR department will be involved in this process. So another function of the Human Resources Department is to fire. They hire and they fire.
Okay.
They dismiss employees on the ground that the employee has done something wrong, on the ground that the employee doesn't go in line with the policies of the organization. It could be an employee could be dismissed. So when this happens, it comes through the Human Resources Department.
Yes.
But if an employee feels that he's been dismissed or she's been dismissed unfairly, then the employee might take the organization or the employer to the employment tribunal. And if you had been taken to the employment tribunal, the Human Resources Department will be the representative of the organization. Is it clear?
Clear.
Redundancy. When we talk about redundancy, we're talking about being surplus to requirements. This is when the service of an employee is no longer needed. So if the service of an employee is no longer needed, it is the duty of the Human Resources Department to communicate with the stated employee, with the said employee, that, your service is no longer needed. Is it clear? That is redundancy. Do you get it or not? Redundancy means an individual or an employee is surplus to requirements. So surplus to requirements means your service is no longer needed. So we might be
fired.
Not fired. It is different from being fired. It is legal.
Okay.
So it means, for example, this is a logistic department.
Yes.
We are 4 working here, but the employer or the organization or the administration, they felt that 2 people can do the job instead of 4. So 2 of us will be made redundant. Out of the 4 of us working here, 2 will be made redundant because they felt that 2 people are enough to carry out the function. So those 2 that will be.
So basically, you want the quality of the workers, not the quantity.
Yeah, when you look at redundancy, it will fall back to the quality. Who can give an added value than another? Who gives more? So we have 4 workers here, but we cannot give equal. we cannot be equal. We cannot give equal productivity.
I understand.
Do you understand? So redundancy means you are surplus requirements. So instead of needing 4 people to do this job, we only need 2 people to do the job. That is not dismissal, because you have not done anything wrong. Rather, your service is no longer needed. So that means you are made redundant. And when you are made redundant, you will be paid for being redundant. Unlike dismissal, when you are being dismissed, the employer would not pay you. That's the difference between.
They will fire you and
you won't get paid. You won't get paid for it. But for redundancy, you get paid for it.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Any question about human resources department? No. So these are all the functions of the human resources department. They hire workers. They take care of staff welfare. They promote workers. They train employees, newly employees. They communicate. They are the middleman between the employers and the trade union. So there's always industrial relations.
Yes.
And they are in charge of redundancy. Is it clear?